This is Hollywood, where movies are still king. For the next 2 days, more than 150 press, radio, and television personalities are meeting and mingling with stars and joining journalists from around the world at the MGM Culver City studio to see them turning out big, exciting movies on 27 acres of working sound stages and hearing Leo the Lion roar again. This is the start of the 1975 MGM International Press Conclave in Hollywood, where mighty MGM is still king.
Thank you all for coming here. It is my great personal pleasure to welcome you here on behalf of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, a company that has excelled in the art of making movies for many, many years, and United Artists, a company that is expert in the business of distributing movies. The welcoming sign you saw as you entered the studio stated that we have invited you here to celebrate the fact that the lion roars again. But that's an oversimplification. The fact is that the lion is not roaring again. It never stopped. There have been periods so awesomely successful that they boggle the mind. And there have been bad times, too. Times that tested the studio's guts and staying power in the industry's bitter struggle for survival. But in all of those times, both good and bad, the lion never lost its roar. There may have been a few times when the most famous lion in the world sounded like a kitten, but loud or soft, happy or sad, Leo never stopped. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer knows only one direction today, and the direction is up. There is an excitement on this movie lot today that is a delightful reflection of those golden days of Gable and Garbo and Crawford and Barrymore and Garland and Tracy and Dressler and Beery and Garson and Muni. And if I were to mention them all, we'd have to send out for lunch. Gentlemen and ladies, as far as Hollywood and particularly MGM is concerned, the joint is really jumping. As soon as I stop talking, you will be on your way to the many events that spotlight the MGM screen product. Your first stop will be the world's largest soundstage, where you will be shown what life will be like in a city of the 23rd century.
The first thing we see is on stage 15. It's an eerie, three-dimensional hologram of Michael York, the star of Logan's Run. York plays one of the Sandmen, the futuristic police of this story set in the 23rd century. There are also imaginative rooms and devices that make up this future world. These immensely creative sets are part of the headquarters for the Sandmen. A press conference is held to introduce Saul David, the producer of Logan's Run.
To the cradle of Logan's Run, you will see some of the infant sets of boarding, some of the things on this stage, and I guess you've looked at the drawings and paintings of some of the other things. You've looked at the holograms and been properly impressed, I suppose, on your way in.
Michael Anderson, the director of Logan's Run, also did Around the World in 80 Days. Now he tells of the problems he faces in setting the look and feel of the 23rd century for his new movie.
Do they wear wristwatches? And a hairdresser bursts into this. Do you want hairpieces or hats? What kind of shoes? Do they read anything? Do they write with anything? What kind of pictures on the wall? What kind of music? Any musical instruments? Toys to play with? This will be a wreck.
A 23rd century fashion show is conducted by Bill Thomas, the film's costume designer. The colors of the costumes tell a person's age in this futuristic adventure.
No seams, speed others. A waistline will be there with the helmet and jewelry. And the girls will take care of everything themselves, I think, pretty well. And in all of this, we have our police force, which will be the Sandmen. And this is the outfit that Michael York will be wearing.
MGM superstar Gene Kelly hosts a luncheon on stage 20 to honor another new MGM production, That's Entertainment 2, inspired by last year's enormous success, That's Entertainment. Having just shown some special footage from this new film, producers Dan Melnick and Saul Chaplin take us to meet some of the stars of That's Entertainment 2. Kelly, who stars along with Fred Astaire in That's Entertainment 2, will direct this new production sequence for the movie. he introduces some famous faces in the audience.
You might just know him. His name is Fred Astaire. All right, Fred. Very hard.
Besides Fred Astaire, Gene greets such luminaries as Eleanor Powell, Katherine Grayson, Russ Tamblyn, Bobby Van, and Tom Drake. It's nice to work this way, lunching with the stars. And as we look around the room, we see that at each table, one of the famous MGM stars is seated with journalists who have flown in from around the world, lunching on a variety of delicious delicacies catered by one of Hollywood's most famous restaurants. Indeed, it was a gala occasion enjoyed by one and all.
I don't know. I just enjoyed the movie, and I thought it was good, and it wasn't too sweet. I thought
Conventional wisdom in the motion picture business over the last 30 years, certainly the last 20 years, was that overseas audiences did not respond to American musicals. So that in almost all cases, when we would ship, long before my time, when they would make a musical, like Singing in the Rain or Gigi, they sent it overseas, they would clip out the musical numbers.
They had to carry me off the set the first night. No, seriously, the two guys picked me up and put me in a car, and I didn't think I'd make it the next day. I went into a hot tub, and I was sick for a year after that picture. Really? Well, I jumped up and down for 4 days. I did, I don't know, 4,000 hops or something like that. They counted it. Busby Berkeley did that.
The All-American Girl is another film about to go into production. Van Melnick introduces the director at the MGM Theater.
I would like to introduce you to Jerry Schatzberg. Jerry?
The activities at the press conference include meeting the author of The All-American Girl, Brenda Perlock,
If there are any questions,
and the star of the new film, Stockard Channing. Miss Channing, who is now making her mark in The Fortune with Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty, takes part with the others in the question and answer session that follows the introductions. The exclusive and beautiful Hillcrest Country Club in Beverly Hills is the scene of a cocktail party and dinner for the producer and stars of MGM's new film, The Sunshine Boys. George Burns is on hand.
Hard for me to work without my cigar.
Dick Benjamin, too, with wife Paula Prentice.
Fabulous.
Adding excitement to the event is the presence of Ray Stark, producer of The Sunshine Boys. Walter Matthau, the other star of the movie, becomes an immediate target for an interview. By 7:45, the time of the dinner party, some of us have a sunshiny glow on. Dick Benjamin, toastmaster at the affair, has a big surprise waiting as he opens the festivities. It's his birthday.
I wish to welcome you here on behalf of MGM and the Sunshine Boys.
I like him an awful lot, Walter Matthau.
Thank you, Dick. The picture for me was a revelation.
We worked at it for 3 weeks, and then we shot it for 11 weeks, and it never changed. And every day was a simple joy. I enjoyed getting up in the morning. I enjoyed the 2.5 hours of makeup. And I enjoyed everything about the picture. And when it was done, I was sure it would be a bomb, because if you enjoy yourself while working, it's no good. Nice guys finish last. And I want to thank everybody who was responsible for that, because I think it was one of the most delicious moments of my lifetime. Thank you. Perhaps George Burns can shed some light on the situation.
I'm not going to tell you anything about the Sunshine Boys, because he told you the whole story. I'm very happy to be here, and I know you're all guests of MGM and the United Artists. I hope you're all having a marvelous time. I'll tell you a few little stories, little anecdotes about myself when I first started in show business that I think might be amusing. I'm going back 1,000 years, and I was always in love with show business. I still am. And as long as I can remember, I wanted to sing, and I wanted to dance, I wanted to tell jokes, I wanted to be an actor. And I made it, and I don't know how. Nobody liked my singing but me. I'd be standing up there looking at the audience, singing my heart out, and the audience would despise me. I got so used to being despised that I thought I was doing well. Then I was a buck dancer, but I could only tap with my right foot. I guess my left foot wanted me to go into some other business. And then I did a dramatic sketch, and everybody laughed. And I became a comedian, and nobody laughed. So I decided to become a straight man. And a straight man does absolutely nothing. All he does is repeat questions. Like if the comedian or the comedian asks a question, all you do is I repeat the question, and they've got the punchline. They get a laugh. They tell a joke. And I'm in show business. And it worked.
After he finishes his monologue, George Burns has a treat for us. He crosses the room to a piano and his accompanist, and treats us to two songs that he has been famous for many years.
A pretty girl had a problem with her husband. They parted and each went a different way. She sat down and wrote her ex a letter, and here is what the lady had to say. I'm returning every present that you gave me. I'm sending back each letter that you wrote. All the sweet momentums that we cherished. The locket that I wore around my throat. Enclosed you'll find the mortgage on the house, dear. That unfair you must admit is true. I'm returning everything except the baby. That's one thing that I didn't get from you. That's
The Hearts of the West luncheon follows the screening of advanced scenes the press saw from this new picture about cowboy movie making in the 30s. It's held appropriately in one of MGM Studios' famous sets, a Western saloon on stage 11. Howard Zeef is the director of The Hearts of the West,
Will I reintroduce to you this afternoon,
which co-stars Jeff Bridges, Andy Griffith, and Alan Arkin.
a live young producer in Hollywood today, Tony Bill, your host for luncheon.
Tony Bill, the producer, tells what went into the making of Hearts of the West. Tony began his career as an actor with Frank Sinatra in Come Blow Your Horn, and has risen to prominence as the producer of The Sting.
At least as well as what you saw today. A lot better and a lot more of it. So I hope you all enjoy it when it gets finished and it comes out. Thanks for coming today.
A Hollywood premiere in the grand style climaxes the 1975 MGM International Press Conclave. The Wind and the Lion Gala Affair brings out stars and celebrities. Rhonda Fleming, Loretta Swit, star of TV's MASH, George Kennedy, MGM President Frank Rosenfeld. Dan Melnick, MGM's production head. Candace Bergen, female star of The Wind and the Lion.
Well, you'll not have your way with the Americans. President Roosevelt will have your head for this.
Roosevelt? This President Roosevelt? He would try and take it himself?
He certainly would. He is a man of grit and strong moral fiber. He does not kidnap women and children.
Brian Keith, who stars as President Teddy Roosevelt.
What is it that you want, Theodore? What do I want? I want respect. That's what? Respect for human life and American property. And I'll send the Atlantic Squadron to Morocco to get respect. That's illegal. Now, why spoil the beauty of a thing with legality?
Charge! Stage 27 has been decorated to depict an exotic and mystic Moroccan desert. The supper ball, key to the film's theme, is a highlight of this conference at MGM. A host of stars join us. Bobby Van and columnist Army Archer. Walter Pidgeon and Candace Bergen. Mr. and Mrs. Edgar Bergen. Richard Pryor and Edie Williams. Brian Keith and director John Milius. Vince Edwards. Newcomers Stockard Channing and director Jerry Schatzberg. Phyllis Diller. Director Francis Ford Coppola. And last, but certainly not least, the most famous face and voice in the world of motion pictures, Leo the Lion. For 2 days, over 150 members of the international press have seen and heard him in action at MGM in Culver City. And we all now know for sure that the lion roars again.